I've been delighted by some of them. Could you talk us through some examples of the little tweaks that were announced yesterday?
Morning, Tom. So we have quite a few smaller little bits of policies being thrown in there, little treats for some of us think tanky neoliberals, including some that even you've spoken about, Tom, such as the hinting at allowing e-scooters to be allowed on pavements and for private ownership of those e-scooters, which is really good news. It's going to really excite the way in which we do transport in the UK, allowing people from all backgrounds to basically be liberated in how they get around their towns, cities and communities. That's really, really great, because currently you need to only rent them, and you need to have a license to do so. Is if you walk around London, for example, there are loads of little renting areas. You can just walk up, scan a electric scooter, and then off you go. But this is going to bring it really into personal property, and that's going to be really, really exciting. We also have a couple of other little things like scrapping bog-offs, buy one, get one free meals. That's going to be really important in dealing with the cost of living crisis, which is, as you've been speaking about already, really ephemeral.
Because on that issue, the government was extraordinarily, as part of its obesity strategy, going to ban shops from giving buy one, get one free offers. The most extraordinary policy. Having reversed that yesterday in the Queen's speech, does that tell us something about the direction of this government? Is this government going to become less nannying?
I really don't think so. I'm going to use a little example, for example. Scotch whisky, which is a beloved refreshment, I'll call it, of Britain. They noted in the Queen's speech yesterday, or at least the notes afterwards, that they're going to remove the tariff on Scotch whisky. Fantastic. The problem is, though, is that Scotch whisky and any spirit of any kind produced in the UK is taxed at £28 a litre. And the Treasury in no way is going to give us the liberty to drink our spirits at any less tax. So what we're seeing here is kind of a government it doesn't really know where to move next. These are ludicrous policies, like scrapping bog-offs. So it's good to see that reversal. And they are in crisis. They need to be seen to be doing something. But it doesn't mean they're going to be removing themselves from our lives like they should be.
One of the parts of our lives that they may be removing themselves from is something that really quite excites me. I'm not going to say it's the biggest reason that I supported Britain's exit from the European Union, but it certainly contributed to it. And I'm talking about those very irritating pop-up messages on websites saying accept cookies. Do you accept cookies for this website, whatever cookies are? I know not a single human being who has ever said no to that pop-up. Often those pop-ups just have one option, OK, and people mindlessly click through like drones, just taking away accumulative hours of our lives, probably over the course of our lives, just clicking a useless, annoying pop-up. Are those going to go too?
I think they are, and I can't wait to see the cookie crumble here. There are some estimates around how much GDPR, which is what caused this cost to fall on business and therefore on ourselves. It actually costs about 8% of profit for a lot of businesses, which is really quite large, especially if we're talking about going for growth and rebuilding the economy after COVID. And a lot of that should be around internet access and our access to the internet. So it's good to see the government's finally giving a little bit of freedom back to businesses to basically say, well, you can remove those cookies if you want, but that's going to be a more inverted decision. In many ways, like we do organ donation now, you're kind of accepted to, have permission to use cookies, and you can manually change those on websites later, which is a much better system. And as you said, it's going to save us cumulatively hours of our life rather than aimlessly and mindlessly clicking through on the website, which we know we're going to accept already.
Well, for me, just with that one policy change, Brexit has been worth it. We've broken free of that EU regulation. Although, when we're looking at the Queen's speech as a whole, just in our final minute of this conversation, Maxwell, is this a Queen's speech that moves Britain in a more liberalising direction, in a freer direction, or a more statist direction?
Oh, it's definitely more statist. As you said earlier, there are so many new bills being thrown on the table, despite us having so many bills going, potentially going through Parliament anyway. It's quite crazy, really. We have a lot of problems that need to be dealt with in the country, but this Queen's speech is bereft of ideas and bereft of what we need to solve the problems we're facing. This government is about value inflation, not growth at all, really. And that's a real problem for everyday people, you and me, listeners at home, and we need to fix that. But the government, it's not going to do it.